This is Maritime Viewpoints on Marino World Online. Joining us are Jonathan Jones, Director and Project Coordinator of Crew Assist Limited, and Jerry Buchanan, Managing Director, Liberian International Ship and Corporate Registry, Hong Kong. Good evening, gentlemen, and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Lynn.
Good evening, Lynn.
First, Jones, tell us about Crew Assist.
Crew Assist was created by Jerry and myself and two other colleagues who wanted to do something practical about enabling seafarers to be exchanged to take place, rather than lots of well-meaned but just hot air. And so we came together with the ITF and ICS to develop a solution using technology, proven technology of a company that's been established for nearly 100 years, bringing together good medicine and safe medicine, supported by WHO, supported by the potential for financial support and personal responsibility of the seafarers as our four pillars. Through that experience, we came to realize that governments are very concerned about, naturally, about the health of their population. And sadly, that some seafarers had traveled when they were not healthy and had brought infection into the host country. So to counter that, we've come up with a solution which we're discussing with the Hong Kong government to create a trial, a guinea pig, to use, create a zero tolerance solution to look after the seafarer from the moment he leaves his home to the moment he gets on board the vessel in Hong Kong, and likewise when he returns back to Hong Kong and flies home to the Philippines. And we believe that if we can create this as a guinea pig, as a trial, and it works, then we can roll this out through around the world, in fact. So the idea is to use a combination of technology, medicine, and then to make sure that the crew are transported in a crew assist bus, taken to a separate entrance in the airport, so they're not to mingle with the general public, to go through as a VIP through a separate way, taken to a plane which is designated as a crew assist plane that only carries seafarers. So the seafarer cannot get infected by the general public, and likewise the seafarer cannot infect the general public. Then when the seafarer arrives in Hong Kong, they will go straight from the aeroplane. They won't go across the bridge into the main terminal. They will be taken to a jetty at the airport where they will board a launch, and they will be taken to a cruise ship to act as hotel accommodation and to give other medical facilities until such time as they need to leave the vessel to go and join their ship for their employment. Likewise, the crew arriving into Hong Kong will be taken to the cruise ship prior to them being taken to the airport to fly back to Manila.
Jerry, how did you get involved with the Crew Assist? I know you are the managing director now of Liscar Hong Kong.
Well, I think Jonathan's explained the beginning of it quite well. Jonathan, together with Ryan Mann, one of our other associates, and the Reverend Miller of the Mission to Seafarers, came to my office and we discussed the situation in Manila with respect to the cruise ships that were there. And I understand there were many, many cruise ships with crew on board who could not get off. And we decided to try and come up with a system which would enable seafarers to be tested and come off safely. The technology for helping us to achieve that came from a Swiss company called SIPCA, and bringing to the table software that was developed by a company called Maritime from Estonia. And this software was the creation of a KSI blockchain, a QR system. I took this to the registry, the Liberian registry, and they were also very excited about it. You have to remember that the Liberian registry has touching on 400,000 seafarers carrying Liberian seamen's documents, and many of them are Filipinos. And so a great desire by the registry to assist in this also, and they gave me leeway to work with Jonathan, not full time, but to give assistance to Jonathan and the team to push this forward.
Your thoughts about this crew change crisis amidst this pandemic, Jerry?
Since the beginning of the pandemic and the crew change crisis, I don't think things have really got any better. I have meetings down here with the various manning agencies who are responsible in the first instance for setting up the crew changes. And things haven't changed tremendously from the early days. I know that one of the crew agents that I spoke to today said that they're no longer approving extensions, that they're getting people off when they can. They have big problems in Singapore, where the Singapore authorities will only allow crew changes to take place if the ship is coming in for bunkers, for example. And this is a bit ridiculous because they now stipulate, I understand, the amount of bunkers the ship has to be taking before they'll allow a crew change. So I don't know if it's getting better, Lynn. It appears to me when I hear stories like this that it's getting worse. And what we're hoping is that the technology that we have brought to the table and introduced to the ITF and introduced this technology to IMEC, and that is now being used in a bubble which is taking place in Manila with AMASUP, the ITF affiliates in the Philippines, and that is working, and it's getting seafarers to move. And it's not only the technology that we brought, it's also the guaranteeing of the quarantine period that the seafarers in the Philippines have to go through before they can join a ship in Singapore, for example.
Yes, Jonathan, can your thoughts, please, about this crew change crisis?
Yes, to echo what Jerry said, I think the important thing is that all the parties involved must come together and cooperate. So since we've been working on Crew Assist, we've reached out to Commons projects. We've reached out to ISOS. We've reached out to Singapore to say this is not a time for each country or each organization to make to prove itself better than anybody else. We need to hold each other's hands and learn from each other. And Crew Assist as a not-for-profit company, and that Jerry and myself and the others, we're working pro bono, so we have no financial gain in this. Puts us in, I think, a good position to be able to help coordinate what's required. And I think one of the reports that has come out from UNCTAD, the United Nations Department on Transportation, has said that it is in fact very important that all port states, all interested parties cooperate. And the technology that we have adopted is proven technology. It's not a startup company. It's not new technology. It's got full scalability and interoperability. it's also, we use it to make sure that there's 100% GDPR protection for the seafarers, which again, obviously is important, that their medical records are only able to be seen by their doctors or by themselves or to whoever they wish to show to. And I think this will be the beginning of important developments for seafarers, to give them what's commonly referred to as a secure seafarer's wallet with other information for them, because certainly they're also predicting that there's going to be an increasing demand for seafarers to at least 2050. So, which is some time in the future, and it's important for the industry to be able to not only recruit seafarers, but we must retain them. We must respect them, and I think one of the as they say, every cloud has a silver lining. And one of the silver linings from this cloud is that now the crew are getting worldwide attention. It's in the Times newspaper in the UK. It's been in the Financial Times. It's been in the Washington Post. So no longer are the crew being forgotten. And that's very important, I think, Lynn.
And why pilot this project with the Philippines? You also have a proposal with Hong Kong, right?
As Jerry said, the Philippines is one of the most, is probably the most important country for providing seafarers. And Hong Kong shipping, Hong Kong and the shipping companies here are significant players in the world of shipping. So if we can get the crew moving between Manila and Hong Kong as a trial, then we can replicate that between Hong Kong or Philippines and India, Hong Kong and India with India, with mainland China, and so on. So instead of trying to build Rome in a day, we're doing it step by step.
Mhm.
And Lynn, I met with a manning agency today.
Mhm.
I discussed the what we're trying to do with Hong Kong, and for them, they said that's a very important corridor, very important corridor indeed, because China is still a problem for them, and they cannot get crew changes in China. They're having to divert vessels into South Korea. They're having to divert vessels to Manila, and obviously diversions cost money. So they say that Hong Kong will be a very important corridor if we can get the government to agree.
The important thing is, Lynn, to give governments in particular the confidence that the seafarers, when they arrive in Hong Kong or wherever the hub that they arrive, are healthy and are not infectious. And likewise, that they, when they go home, when they arrive back in the Philippines, that they're also healthy before they leave to go back to their family. So it is very important that we create this secure corridor. I think it will have an impact on how crewing and manning will take place in the future. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
No, so I think the disruption that's happening in shipping that COVID has brought will create some very positive things for the well-being of the seafarer.
How does this SIGPA work? And how does this SIGPA work?
SIGPA is a technology company that uses QR coding, but SIGPA is a company that currently you will probably have SIGPA in your pocket. They look after putting digital encryption in the banknotes of over 100 countries in the world. So they're very advanced in this technology. They are, if you like, a typical Swiss company that is often under the radar, but is very important in providing very delicate, sophisticated services to governments. And that, of course, is very important.
And Amusab Clinic is already using this, right? With the
Yes,
facilities in Manila.
with the agreement of the ICS and ITF, it was agreed to use the AMUSAP clinic in Manila as the clinic to try the equipment and the technology, to take at the time the WHO test, to make sure that that was the only test that governments around the world would agree to use. So they were the chosen guinea pig. And as Jerry said, that is going ahead, and seafarers are using that technology to create a health pass.
But your proposal to Hong Kong government is still pending, right? So how confident
Yes,
are you that this will be approved by the government of Hong Kong?
Well, this weekend, the Hong Kong government has agreed to further treat the seafarer as a critical worker by giving them priority statement situation regarding vaccines. Of course, the vaccine will need to be also validated so that when the seafarer gets to Manila or wherever he's going to go in the future, that vaccine has been validated as a valid vaccine and the date of it, and that it's tamper-proof. So the governments, as you can imagine, are very cautious because of their duty to look after the population. And so they want to make sure that everything that we've suggested can be validated and is secure, which means we've also introduced Lloyd's Register of Shipping to offer, to support, to give third-party validation of all the processes that we are doing. And in the past, as we've seen, governments did rush out, and Hong Kong rushed, that's the wrong word. Hong Kong was very keen to support seafarers and promoted the movement of seafarers. But unfortunately, mistakes were made. Things weren't possible because the seafarer had to go direct from the ship to the airport. And sadly, flights were being cancelled. So there was grey areas. And then, so now people are more nervous. The governments are more nervous about making another error. But yeah, I think it's winning support. Obviously, in governments, as in society, you get disagreements between the, if you like, the transport and the health ministry, because they have different priorities. So one ministry will be more supportive than another. But that's how government works, and for everybody's benefit.
Jerry, you have anything to add, Jerry?
My thoughts. I think Jonathan really hit the nail on the head. We've come a long way with the Hong Kong government, and I am fairly confident that something positive will come out of this at the end of the day. Jonathan has put a lot of effort into putting all this together and trying to convince the government through various lobbies that he's got access to at the highest level. It's actually reached the highest level of the Hong Kong government, the chief executive. So she is well aware of the initiatives that we're trying to do here. You know, like Jonathan, he's been in shipping for a long, long time. I have been in shipping for a long, long time. I am a seafarer, may not be active, but I am still a seafarer. And we both want to see this crisis come to an end. Whether it's crew assist that bring this to an end or not, we want to be there and we want to see this come to an end. Seafarer has been through enough.
At a time when the world stopped, ships kept moving. People still shopped, ships kept on proving. The volume of trade that's moved by sea, 90% of trade, actually. Crops that are weighed, cars that are sprayed, and it's easy to see the impact this makes. Fruit and vegetables, toys and collectibles, wheats and grains, the blood in the veins. Like to land a farmer is, ships are to the sea. And if the world is the heart, ships are the arteries, which stock the pharmacies, move essential commodities. So there's a lot at stake across these seas. Without these routes, half the world would starve, while the other half would freeze. Without these bright-colored containers, the four walls in our house that contain us would be empty. The books we read, the animal feed, the oil we need, the global lives that we lead. No oil, no cars, no essential spare parts. The sea's version of stars, those flickering lights on the horizon. By moon and by sun, but the journey is never done. As a supertanker proves, the distance it moves is equivalent to 3 times around this Earth a year. And we are served by over 61,000 ships. The things we buy, the things that shops sell, the 1.7 million seafarers, it's more than just engines that propel this industry. And it's easy to see that a lot is owed to the people that load. 6,000 ports worldwide, but it's not all plain sailing. It's rough seas and piracy warnings and the change that this inevitably causes. The sea covers 70% of our planet, so you can see why we need to plan it. A global community of knowledge and passion. From salt and sugar to the latest fashion, our ships keep moving products we love using. Ships make the world go. They help trade flow and let business grow.
How are your advocacies in crew assist related to the Neptune Declaration?
Well, thank you for saying that, Lynn, because I was just going to read the 4 main action points, which is to recognize seafarers as key workers and give them priority access to COVID-19 vaccine. So the Hong Kong government has given that. Then it says to establish and implement the gold standard health protocols based on existing best practice, and I believe that's happening with the use of the Amusap clinic, and in due course other clinics will also get there. To increase collaboration between ship operators and charterers. I think that's happening, and I think the insurance industry is beginning to play its part there, and to say to charterers, you must be aware that any endangering of the crew exchange could invalidate insurance policies if the seafarer is fatigued and frustrated and therefore is not able to do his job. It might jeopardize the seaworthiness of the vessel from an insurance point of view. And then the fourth is to say, and ensure air connectivity between the key maritime hubs for seafarers. Well, that's exactly what we're doing as crew assisters, to create the maritime hubs and direct air connectivity. So I think we answer those points.
And Lynn, I just add that during my time here in Manila, I did go down to Intramuros, and I did meet with Dr. Conrad Oka, and he gave me a tour of what he is doing with the technology from SIPCA, which we introduced. And I can say, from his point of view, and from the point of view of the various manning agencies who are using this bubble, that it works. They have not had one failure. They've not had one failure from this exercise that they're doing, and it continues and continues. So what we're trying to tell the rest of the world is that we have the technology, we can bring this technology, and we can make it work. They don't have to worry. We can maintain that the seafarer is safe.
Jerry, I understand other registries also are supporting this crew assist advocacies, or I mean the programs, from the perspective of from the perspective of registry.
Yes, well, we've had vocal support from the Marshall Islands Registry and also from Panama. But I'll let Jonathan tell you where that stands at the moment.
But I think the answer to that, Lynn, is that we've been very busy trying to prove this solution with the Hong Kong government, that we keep people informed of what we're doing. And at the moment, they're observing to see our success. So to date, everybody's been very supportive, which is great. And the major third-party ship management companies here are supportive. Other owners are supportive. We've got connections now with mutual friends of both Jerry and myself in New York with Future Care. We have connections with people in Greece, again through mutual friends of ours, so that we're getting the word out. We recently had conversations with Sri Lanka, so that I think things are slowly, sadly, it's all taking much longer than we anticipated, but I guess that's life.
What seems to be the barriers?
The major barrier is that is the rightful caution of governments to look after their population, to not rush into doing things which might create more of the pandemic, spread the disease more than it is currently. So that's a major barrier, is getting over government's concerns and worries and giving them the confidence to bless what we're saying as being the right way forward.
And how about the issues on MLC?
Well,
I really need to amend MLC for this to be successful.
Well, I thank you. Yes, I totally believe that the way forward is that the tripartite committee of the standing committee of the MLC should make a change in the MLC to incorporate the need for the safer exchange of crew. And whilst at the moment governments are following recommendations, then they're not mandatory. And it would be, in my opinion, it would be far better if it was made mandatory under the MLC, and there's provisions for that, and that should be done as soon as possible. We don't have to have a new 7 years wait for new legislation. It can be adopted and amended under the MLC, and that must be the way to go forward. We can't have it. We can't have each government in the world, each seafaring or each maritime nation having its own rules and regulations. That would be just completely chaotic. So the MLC, to my mind, is the way to go forward. Under the MLC, there are provisions for including financial responsibility, which I think will also be important. The ship operating industry will need to know that if they don't operate and make sure that the crew are correctly looked after from the time they leave home, and they bring infection into Hong Kong or Singapore or wherever, that there will be a financial penalty, and the financial penalty is probably the stick that is needed to bring everybody into line. So we have been, as Crew Assist, we've been in regular correspondence with the ILO, with the IMO, as well as with the ITF and ICS. But of course, we don't have any governmental status, so it's, we are very pleased that they are listening to us.
Yeah, I think I'd like to say that I don't think a lot of people know how much effort the ITF is putting into all of this. And, I think Jonathan would agree with me that they're putting in a tremendous effort and looking at every avenue to try and get this resolved as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Jerry. One of the things that I noticed with the ITF is, of course, that they're not just confined to shipping. So the ITF has full understanding of the complete supply chain, from whether it's mine workers supplying the iron ore to the ships, the dockyard ship workers, the airlines, and so on. So the ITF understand the whole of the problem along the whole length of the logistical chain. The ITF has got this ability to understand the length of the supply chain, and they've been very generous with financial support to the clinic in Manila, which is great.
Any focus or emphasis you still wish to communicate, Jerry?
Yeah, well, I'd like to add that I hope as the weeks go on and the months go on, that crew change in our efforts to bring Hong Kong in as a major crew change port, a hub rather, is successful. And I think that will be a major achievement, not only for Crew Assist, but for Jonathan himself, who, as I said earlier, has put a lot of effort and a lot of work into this. That would be a major step forward, not only for us, of course, but for the shipping industry and for the seafarer.
Thank you, Jerry. I think, Len, I would add to that just to say that to your audience, we really do welcome everybody coming together and working in a unified way, whether it be government or ministries in the Philippines, the various clinics and crew managing agencies. Please reach out to Jerry or myself or anyone at Crew Assist if you need further information.
Thank you. Lastly, what about the future? How do you see things now?
I think the future is that the world has woken up to shipping. There's been maybe 25, 30 years of sea blindness. And this pandemic has woken the public to the importance of the whole of the shipping industry, and of course the importance of the seafarer, which, without ships there's no trade, and no ships, no crew, no trade, and that's the bottom line.
And Jerry, I've known you for so many years now. And I remember what you have said before when we interviewed you first in 2013. You really love this industry, the shipping, every minute of your life. How can you see the future now?
Yes, every year of my life. It's been a long life so far, and I hope it continues. But yes, shipping is my life. I can't say it's a part of my life. It is my life. And I'm thankful to God that it continues to be so. I hope and pray that we get over this pandemic. I hope and pray that we defeat the virus. And I hope and pray that all seafarers can go back to a normal life that they had before this. But as Jonathan said, there's a lot of ignorance in the world as to what shipping is all about. I've seen a number of promotional videos promoting shipping. I think they're excellent, everyone I've seen. And I wish they were shown on the networks. I wish they were shown by the medias like CNN and all these other networks that seem to talk about, nonsense as far as I'm concerned. I wish that media would use these videos to promote shipping a lot more with the general public, because they still take it for granted. When they switch on their television, when they shave in the morning, when they do anything, they don't realize that but for shipping, they would not be able to do that. So I think I want to see shipping brought more and more into focus, and the plight of the seafarer brought more and more into focus as well. He deserves respect. Or, sorry, I should say they deserve respect, he or she.
Thank you so much to both of you. Thank you for the time and your thoughts.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn.
The Director and Project Coordinator of Crew Assist Limited, Jonathan Jones, and the Managing Director of Liberian International Ship and Corporate Registry, Hong Kong, Jerry Buchanan. Thank you for watching Maritime Viewpoints on Marino World Online. I am Lynn Bacani.